day, everyone. My name is Carmen Saunders. My student number is 473-61999, and this is my video recording for CIC, the module code CIC2601. And in this video, I will reflect on the ICT integrated lesson plan that I designed for my grade R learners on the topic of the phonic and the phonic sound S. The lesson objectives were aligned with the Bloom's taxonomy, and they aim to help the learners, number 1, recognize and say the letter S and its sound. Number 2, point to and name pictures that begin with the letter S. And number 3, draw or color in one thing that starts with the letter S, with obviously teacher assistance as well. These objectives moved learners from remembering and understanding to applying their knowledge in a practical activity. Moving on to introduction phase. During the introduction, I used the YouTube letter S video, which is called Letterland. Okay, Letterland has all the 26 letters of the alphabet. It has a song and a rhyme to introduce the new letters to my grade R learners, with movement activities as well. The learners watched the video, they listened to the sound, they traced the letters by pointing, putting their finger up in the air like this, and tracing the letters in the air like that. Also, I made my learners go on the floor like a snake and to move their bodies like a snake to make the letter S out of their entire body as well. The purpose of this activity was to capture the learner's attention, active prior knowledge, and to introduce the new letter in a fun and engaging way. Using music and movement helped learners to remain actively involved and supported different learning styles, especially kinesthetic and auditory learners as well. The ICT tool that was used in this phase was the YouTube video. According to the SAMR model, this activity falls under argumentation. Technology replaced a traditional teacher-led lesson or a teacher-led song, but also provided functional improvements through visuals, audio, movement, demonstrations, and repetition, which enhanced learner engagement and their understanding as well. My role as the teacher was to facilitate the activity, model the correct pronunciation, demonstrate movements, and guide learners as they trace the letter in the air. The learner's role was to participate actively, to imitate the actions, listen carefully, and practice saying the S sound. Moving on to the development phase. Okay. The development activity involved interactive picture sorting picture cards. Okay. So the learners sat with me and I presented them the picture and the pictures that begin with the letters S, and pictures that don't begin with the letters. So if I showed them a picture and it was a picture of a star, they would indicate if it began with the letter sound S by giving me a thumbs up. But if I showed them a different picture, like a picture of a dog, and I'll say, listen carefully, dog. Does that sound like it starts with the letter S? And they would give me an indication with a thumbs down. The purpose of this activity was to reinforce letter sound recognition and to encourage critical thinking as learners distinguished between words that begin with the letter S and with words that don't begin with the letter S. And then the ICT resources that included or that I used in that lesson was digital or print. I've got printed picture cards, phonic sound cards. That is what I used for, and that is for visual learning. The activity represents the substitution level of the, my camera keeps going off, sorry. The activity represents the substitution level of the SAMR model because technology or visual resources replaced traditional verbal instruction, significantly changing the learning task itself. However, it made the lesson more engaging and I believe more fun and easier for my young grade R 5-year-olds and 6-year-old learners to understand. As the teacher, I guided discussions. I asked questions and I provided support when needed. The learners actively participated by observing the pictures, responding with gestures, a thumbs up, thumbs down, and naming the objects themselves as well. Moving on to consolidation phase. The consolidation activity involved learners completing a coloring in worksheet. So I gave them a worksheet and I gave them pictures that all started with the letters, and they had to color in those letters: sun, snake, star, sock, so on and so forth. Learners colored one picture, practiced saying a sentence as well using this sound. I also used my phone's camera to take picture of the evidence of the work that they've done. This activity allowed the learners to apply what they have learned independently and to demonstrate their understanding of the letter sound S. The ICT tool that I used here was my camera from my cell phone, my mobile phone. According to the SMAMR model, this activity falls under modification because technology changed how the assessment evidence was collected and how it was shared. Taking photographs of learner work for digital documentation, for reflection, inclusion in the learner portfolios, which would not be as effective as traditional methods alone. My role was to support the learners, monitor their progress, ask guiding questions, and record evidence of learning. The learners colored their worksheets in. Here goes my camera, sorry. The learners colored their worksheets in, identified the pictures, and independently practiced the S sound. Moving on to inclusive teaching and differentiation. To ensure inclusive teaching, I accommodated different learning abilities through the use of songs, through the use of movement, visual pictures, oral participation, and hands-on coloring in activities. Learners who required additional support received my assistance, while more advanced learners were encouraged to actually create their own examples of words beginning with the letter S. Using multiple teaching strategies ensured that all learners had opportunities to participate meaningfully and to succeed. Moving on to reflection on effectiveness. Overall, I believe that the lesson was very effective because learners were actively engaged throughout the activities and they had opportunities to listen, to speak, to participate physically as well, to move as well, and to also create. The integration of ICT tools increased the learner motivation and made the lesson more interactive and, like I said before, more fun. If I were to improve the lesson in future, I would include an interactive digital game, such as a matching activity on a smartboard or even on the tablet, maybe even a PowerPoint on and projected onto my screen in my classroom and making a matching game on like that, to provide even more opportunities for learner participation and immediate feedback. This experience showed me that ICT enhances teaching and learning when it is purposefully integrated to support lesson objectives and to also support certain learners, learners that are more advanced and more learners that are less advanced. Thank you very much.